Right, so we're ready to go. Let's all find our space. We'll come to the mat. And we'll just start with tiptoes and heels. So let the arms relax a little bit, just let them hang. And bring your awareness to your feet. So we're lifting up the toes, tiptoes and heels. Tiptoes and heels. Tiptoes and heels. And we're just getting into this nice rhythm, as if we were sitting in a lovely rocking chair. Feeling those calves and shins, and that Achilles area in particular, really beginning to warm up. And just really getting that warmth in there. And then when you've done a few of those and you feel that that warmth has really come into that back of the leg, then we can just allow ourselves to come down onto the feet and really feel those feet sink. And we've got that real sense of the feet. And then we're going to start to circle. So we'll take the weight over to one side, then forwards, then to the other, and then to the heels. And we can just feel that we are drawing a circle with our weight all the way around. One way. And then change direction. So try and keep a bit more on the weight distribution rather than moving the hips or anything. But just thinking about that. So then when we come to standing, again we can feel the feet that much more. Take a breath in. Fill your feet with your breath, and as you breathe out, feel the feet sink down into the floor. Breathing in, feeling your feet. And as you breathe out, sinking the feet. One more, breathing in. And as you breathe out, sinking the feet. Good. And then we're just going to rub the hands. And just get that real contact. And we can do this one, which is a really good one, where we clap forwards. And this really wakes up the the nerve endings on the ends of the hands. Give them a good slap. Good. And then when you feel that's really woken up, just bring the hands together and we're going to press them together. So you feel the fingertips pressing, the full length of the fingers, the whole of the palm of the hand, feet and hands. And just take a breath here. Feeling your feet and your hands as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And then we can bring the tips of the fingers, I've just come a bit closer so you can see tips of the fingers. We're going to just tap here on the jawline. And we're going to tap all the way down to the tip, the chin, and back to the top of the mouth and back to the nose and back, up from the temple, tap a couple of seconds at the temple, across the brow, up through the crown of the head all the way up and back, behind the ears and then back to the chin. Okay, so we'll do that again, from to the chin, jaw to the top of the lip, jaw to the top of the nose, to the temple, up to the brow, up over the head, down the back of the ears, last time to the jaw joint, tip of the chin, lip, nose, brow, over the crown and down back to the jaw. So we're going to bring our attention to our feet, rub the hands a moment to the hand, and now also to the jaw. Feet, and hands and face. I feel safe. The body feels safe when you're aware of your feet, your hands, and your face. So just take a nice breath in. Good, and we're going to keep this awareness of feet and hands and face as we move through our sun salutation. So keeping the hands together for now, we're going to breathe in, lift the arms up. Looking up and back at the thumbs just for a moment, tiny little back bend. Breathing out, bend the knees and bring the hands wherever they will go. So if they reach the floor, they reach the floor. If not, just grab hold. But just feel the texture beneath the hands. Feel the weight distribution on your feet. Has it changed? What's going on in your jaw as you stretch? Breathing in, we're going to look up. Stretching out the back, opening out the thyroid. And as you breathe out, again, drop down. Feel the hands touch something. Let the jaw let go. You're going to take a step back with one leg, drop the knee, and we're going to just lean forward into this groin here. You can just feel the stretch there. Allow it to relax. It takes a little while, this one, so we're just going to give it enough time to soften. Feel the feet and the hands, and just check in with your face. How is that feeling? Are you clenching? Often you're clenching the jaw as you stretch. Swap the leg back into a plank pose. You might not be able to hold this for long, it doesn't matter, but then we're going to drop down anyway. So just see how long you can hold it for. Hands are here, cobra. Push with the hands as you breathe in. Pull a little towards you. And then we're going to drop into either, depends on your arm, Imogen. You see, perhaps you want to do child pose and not strain the arm by doing head down dog. So just check how you feel. Taking a breath, breathing out, relaxed. When you're ready to move on from that, and it might be more than one breath, or if your arm is hurting, you might only do a single breath. But whichever leg came back, it's that leg that comes forward. So you're going to bring that leg between the hands, and now we're going to reach in and give that a really good stretch. Lovely. And again, we're just taking our time with it, letting it relax. Tucking the toes under. As you breathe out, we're coming into this forward bend again. Letting the hands drop wherever they will go. Breathing in, looking up, flattening the back for a moment. And as you breathe out, again, dropping down. And then we're going to uncurl. Uncurl. And then depending on how your arm feels, we're going to bring the arms back up. Just decide which way you want to do that. Looking up and back, little back bend, and then press the palms together as they come down. And then we're going to open up my top here just to get my thumbs right into this thalamus gland and just give it a really good rub. Just see how that feels one way and then the other. Good, and that's one round. So this round we're going to just flow a little bit faster. Breathing in, bringing the hands up, looking up and back. Out breath, we're ready to fold forwards, forward bend. As you breathe in, you're looking up, flattening the back. Breathing out, stepping the other leg back, dropping that knee, stretching that groin. Now this groin's a little bit warmer, so for this round, you can bring the arms up if you want to. Looking up at the hands creates a little back bend there. But do your best to just relax into that forwardness. Bringing the hands to the floor, bring the foot back. Again, you can decide, are you going to do a plank for very long or are you going to go immediately down? It's up to you. Dropping down on an out breath though, and as you breathe in, you come up into the cobra. Pull that mat towards you and then decide, is it child or is it head down dog? Again, just see how it feels, how many breaths you want to take. And then when you're ready, the same leg that went back comes forwards. Coming into this stretch. Breathing in, bringing the arms up. Stretching up and back if you want to. And then that back leg is going to come forward as we come into the forward bend. In breath, you can look up and back. Out breath, you can drop back down. Uncurling as you come up. Breathing in, we're going to bring those arms up. Look up and back. And then the hands come down together. And again, we're going to give that thymus gland a little stimulus. First one way. And again the other. Okay, one more round. So this time I'm going to talk less and just let you sort of experience it a little bit. I'm just going to mention the breath every now and again. So breathing in. Out breath, forwards. In breath, looking up. Out breath, relax. Leg goes back. Breathing in. Plank. Into Cobra. Child or head down dog. Same leg moving. Breathing in. Forward bend. Uncurling, breathing in. Lovely, and then that final little, and hopefully by the third one of these, when you rub this, it's not quite as sore and tender as it was before. Great, I'm just going to feel our feet. Take a breath, just see how the body is, a little bit warmer, a little bit more moved. Okay, so the sun salutation is really good for this STNR movement, which is basically, if I just show you, the movement of the spine from what I call the S shape, which is this part of the cow, and the C shape of the spine, which we call the C. The cat and the cow. Cow here, cat here. S shape as you look up, C shape as you look down. So have a little go for a couple of goes here. And there's a little pull with the hands when you're in the S shape. And there's a little push with the hands when you're in that C shape. So just start to bring that in, S to C. And when you start to do that pull, you'll find that you start to rock a little bit forwards on the S shape and push a little bit back. And this is what differentiates this sort of from the yoga cat-cow pose into the reflex S to C. It's this slight rocking. I'm exaggerating it a little bit so that you can see. The movement's always starting at the tail, and you've got a rocking and a pushing and a pulling. Now, because it's a reflex move, it's not so much about stretching as getting the movement fluid and easy. and doing lots of it, sort of up to about 2 minutes. But you might find that your system doesn't want to do that much. So you need to listen to that, and when that happens, you can just rest down in a child pose and breathe for a few breaths there. And just allow the system to catch up with itself, because these reflex moves, they need a bit of integration time afterwards. So just see how your body responds, and when you're ready, to move on, then you can come up to sitting. Just see how you feel. Lovely. So that's the big movement. And when you see a baby first do that, you know, they're often doing sort of this sort of, well, it's a bit disorganized and not quite as nice looking as when we do it, but that's when they are learning to then what upright is in the spine. So we're just going to do this in a little bit more of a somatic way. I've got my hands here on my lap, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull towards me, and that's going to make that S shape. Not as big as before, but it's there. And then when I let go of that pull, I come back to this C shape. So that little pull, S to C. And again, we can feel that it's a little wave that starts at the tail and goes into that C quite naturally. So just do a couple more of those as we just work through them. These are quite somatic moves, so we're going to be getting more and more somatic. That means that there'll be less and less movement as we do it. So don't think that you have to stretch all the way out one way and then all the way out the other way. It's not about stretching these. It really is about getting the movement to flow like a wave from the tail, like a wave, an even wave all the way up to the neck. Lovely. And again, when you've finished, just bring yourself to somewhere where you're neither in S or C. It's like a neutral place in between the two. And just see how that feels for your posture. And then again, we're going to bring it into a much more somatic place by bringing one hand to the front here and one hand behind. And we're going to create this push and pull between the hands. So we're still doing the S shape and the C shape, but it's concentrated down below. S to C, S to C. And again, you're trying to get it to flow and only to be isolated in this area. So just see if you can limit the rest of your body. Just see if you can keep your chin still, your upper body still, as you just work on only this area. It's quite difficult to isolate it. You can see that I'm not immediately successful. It takes me a few goes, and then and I'm starting to feel a real heat building up here in the lower back as well. See what you've got. It might not be heat, it might be tingling. But if you do get any sort of weird sensation that makes you feel a little bit icky, then stop, because they're quite powerful, these moves. When you have finished, again, just bring it to neutral. Close your eyes for a moment and see if you can feel into that lower back. What's changed there? What's going on? And then we're going to take it up. So I'll take this off again so it's a bit easier to see. I've got one hand here on the breastbone, and the other hand is sort of on my back, roughly the other side. It's not precise because we're not really using the hands, they're just guides. And then we're going to do the same thing. So forwards and back, forwards and back. And again, I'm trying to isolate it to this part of the body. You can see, because I can see myself for once, that I'm not managing to isolate it completely yet, but that's what I'm working towards. I'm working towards trying to get this movement to only happen up here. And that meant, for example, that now that I'm a little bit more successful, that the movement is a little bit smaller. And just see how you feel with that, how long you can do it for, because it's quite powerful. When you do feel like stopping, just come to gentle stillness and take a breath. And again, just feel into this heart center where we've been working. How does that feel? Lovely. Okay, so before we move into doing any stretching with this, I just want to bring your attention to the fact that we do this S to C shape quite naturally every time we breathe. It's like an echo of this big movement, but it's definitely there. So before we move anywhere, just close your eyes for a moment and just notice that as you breathe in, the body quite naturally wants to go into this lovely S shape. And as you breathe out, C shape. Now, it's not a massive movement where, you know, you're looking like you're sticking your bust out or you're hunched. It's not like that. It's very internal. Like from the outside, somebody won't be able to see it, but you can definitely feel it. Now, once you've sort of got that nice flow, you can see, oh, okay, so my body is most of the time just doing this slight little movement backwards and forwards, trying to adjust itself to my posture the whole day through. Great. Okay, everybody good? Just give me a thumbs up. And we'll come up to standing, because this is lovely to use in a lovely forward bend. So we'll just tiptoes and heels for the moment. Let the feet land, and don't worry, we will be doing some rocking later so that we can relax a little bit more. Okay, but just we need to see how effective this is really for releasing that upper back. So let's just breathe in, reach up with our hands. If you want to look up and back here, we've got this lovely S shape. See how much freer it is now than when we were doing the sun salutation. And then as you breathe out, bend the knees slightly and allow yourself to drop down. Now again, if you want to, you can have the hands on something, or you can grab hold of your elbows if you want to release the shoulders. But once you've found a comfortable place to be, now notice that as you breathe, every breath, you're doing that little S to C. S to C. Just explore that for a moment. And then we can reach forwards. And if you wish to, you could stay in the forward bend if this is going to hurt your shoulder, and just do it in the forward bend. But if you want to try head down dog, you've got again S to C. It's a little bit harder to feel it here, but it's definitely there. And then we're going to drop down into a child pose and just rest there for a moment. And this S to C movement obviously exists quite a lot in yoga, so it's all the way through the sun salutation, it's all the way through all the counter poses that we do. What's a little bit different when you do it with the reflex work is that you are also looking at the subtle versions of it. So it's not just about the big motor movements, it's also about those somatic movements and how those are affecting you. So let's come to sitting on the floor with our legs out in front. I'm just going to relax them. So if you're quite used to some of the funny moves that we do here, Reflex Yoga, then you've got tick-tock here. It's always a good one to remember. It just reminds the legs to relax. And if this is something that you do a lot, you don't need to do it a lot for the legs to remember. So just half a minute is often enough. You've been practicing this one. We're getting into a rhythm, tick tock, and of course on the tock the legs are relaxing, so it's more of a release. Good, and then when we've got that release, just let the legs go. Feel their sitting bones on the floor, and notice how easy or difficult it is to sit upright in this position now with the legs out in front. It's not as easy as we'd like to think. So there's a couple of things that we can do here. We can bring the hands either to the floor or to our thighs. It doesn't really matter. But again, we've got that S. We can pull with the hands towards, if we're dragging our trousers towards us, breathing in, slight looking up, and then let go of the pull, and we've got that slight C shape. Breathing in, looking up, breathing out, slight C. Breathing in. Just a few of those. Remember to try to think about it flowing from the base of the spine, always starting at the tail. And then come to a place in between. So not S, not C, somewhere in the middle. Relax your legs, and hopefully, with any luck, it's a little bit easier to sit in this position. Good, and then we're going to come into a forward fold. So we're going to have a good old stretch of the whole of the back of the body. So just see how far you can reach. It might not be your feet, it might be your ankles or your shins. It doesn't really matter so long as you've got a little stretch going on there in the lower back, in the back of the legs. If the hamstrings are screaming at you and you really can't stretch the back, then bend the knees a little bit so that the back is involved. And then before we start, we'll do a little bit bigger movement. So breathing in, S. Looking up and back, tail up, head up, breathing out, C. Couple more. S to C. So the head is moving for now. But after 3 or 4 of those, we're going to keep the head sort of in a neutral position, and instead of moving the body, we're going to breathe the movement. So as you breathe in, you've got that echo of the S. As you breathe out, ooh, that little C shape. Breathing in, that echo of the S. And then that little C shape. And you can just stay here for as long and as many breaths as you wish. You might be feeling different and new parts of your back beginning to release, and you just want to give it a little bit more time to work. Or you might find that it's all too much and you need to stop. So just listen to your own body. But when you are done, the only way I'm going to know is if I see you on the screen. So you will be coming up to sitting just so that I know. But just stay there for a bit longer if you want. And as you come up to this sitting position, then what you might notice is that, oh look, sitting out with my legs in front of me suddenly does not feel as difficult as it was, which is really good. Let's try this in the turtle pose. So we're going to bring the legs wider than the mat and the knees out to the side. And again, it's a forward fold, so we're coming into a forward bend as far forward as we can. You can grab hold of your feet if you can reach, or whatever it is that you can reach, doesn't really matter. If you remember from the past few weeks, we've been working a lot with relaxing the legs. So have a little moment to remind yourself, oh yeah, what's that feeling that I had last week, the week before, of letting go of my legs, so that they can just be soft. And then again, before we begin, a little S as you breathe in, looking up. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, let yourself fold into that C. These big movements to begin with. S, and then to C. And then once you've done that a few times, try to bring it down onto this smaller level, so you're no longer moving the head or the spine, you're just breathing. And with each breath, you can feel that C shape, you can feel that S shape. Again, really lovely pose, that one, for releasing a lot of tension in that back, sacral iliad area. Just stay with it for as long as you wish. Great, so we finally have released quite a lot of stuff there. And before we move on to do the ATNR, I think it would be nice to come back to this mermaid move, because that's an S to C move. And the mermaid move is the one that we did for the womb yoga a few weeks ago. And it's really fabulous. So just to remind you, this is the position. So you've got your foot roughly sort of level with your knee. And it's very much a down here movement. So it's an S to C, but it's localized here. Now you might not do a very big movement because the hips are too painful, so take it in your own time. You might do minuscule movements. Now we've realized that those tiny movements are very powerful. S to C, little movements. Good, and once we've warmed up those hips, and if your hips need a bit more warming up, then stay here for a bit. But then we're going to bring the hand to the floor and we're going to tip over this leg. So as if we've got a bucket in our pelvis and we're tipping all the water out. And then we come back. And we tip it out. And we come back. Again, it's an S shape here. And a C shape when we're back. Little S shape when we're tipping, and a little C shape when we're back. Now this time we're going to go and do our twist. So this is our opportunity to do the twist that we haven't done yet. So we've got a lovely S shape because we're tipping, and then we're looking over the shoulder and getting that twist in. All the way down the back, all the way down to the front, to the womb, and then we sit back to the C shape for a moment. And again, S shape, looking over the shoulder, and back to C. So again, 4 times, tip, S shape, twist, come back to the C. I think that's number 3, so 1 more. Lovely, and then we can swap the legs around. As always, not 2 hips are not made quite the same, so again, don't launch yourself into this tipping so quickly, just take it nice and steady. little movements to begin with, and then you can increase them as it warms up. And once you feel that those hips have become a little bit more spongy to the movement, a little bit more happy, then you can move to the next one, which is the one with the hand on the floor, and that little tip, S shape, back to C. And again, you might need to do a few of these before you're warm enough to do the twist. And I can feel my hip here, and it's a little bit clunky, so I might do more than 4. So wait for it to warm up. Good. And then, yeah, that's feeling like it might be ready. Then I'm going to bring the hand, I'm going to tip into that S shape, look over my shoulder, twist, and then back. Tip, S shape, twist, and back. And of course we can bring the breath in, so breathing in with the S shape, breathing out. And we've got that lovely stretch into the lower back, into the womb. Yeah, so 4 of those really is the minimum. And then we can sit with our legs crossed and just finish all of that off by circling a couple of times. So circling just allows everything to align together. Puts the hips back to equal, and you could feel the lower back moving. First one way and then the other. It's lovely. So before we move on to the second part, let's just have a little stretch out here on our fronts again, because this is a really good pose to compare the work that we've done. So we've got the legs out in front, we've relaxed them perhaps with a little bit of tick-tock and just letting that let go. And then we can just lean forwards and just see how that feels. Tuck the chin in. We're not in S or C shape, we're just breathing it. And we might find that all that work in the sacral iliad has allowed a really lovely release in that lower back. Lovely. Well done. So just stay. If it's really moving about, it's a really good opportunity to give it all a great big stretch. Just say, hi Levi, welcome. Nice to see you. We're about 45 minutes in, but you're most welcome to join us for this second half, no problem. Okay, so we're going to move on and do what's called the ATNR reflex now. So this is this reflex that I was talking briefly about at the beginning with regards to the hand-eye coordination. So we can do a little test actually to see how strong it is in everybody, because you can actually physically feel this connection when you do this test. So if you come to lying on your front on your mat, and we're just going to do a Cobra Pose. So we're going to have the hands here and we're going to come up into Cobra Pose, but with a little difference in that we're going to look to one side. And when you look to one side, notice what happens in the opposite elbow. And then come back to the middle and then look to the other side and see what happens in that elbow. And what you should notice is that that elbow weakens a little bit, that it feels like it's going to give way somehow. And this is this ATNR reflex in action, with the work that we're going to do next, we should find that that connection between eye, head and arm is not so strong, and that we should be able to later move the head from side to side and not feel so much of a weakness there. So let's do some of these moves then. Okay, so we'll come up to standing for the first one. And this is one that we've done before, so it'll be a little bit familiar. It's a little bit tricky, but it's really important that we're very precise with these movements. Okay, so we'll start in a nice easy way and then we'll build it up. So we're going to bring two arms up, and then one arm will come forward and the other arm will go back, and then we'll look at that back thumb. You see, this is the hand-eye coordination that we're talking about. Breathing in, two arms up to the center. Other arm forward, other arm back. Good. Breathing in to the center, breathing out, looking at that back thumb. So let's get this movement into really nice flow. With your breath, if you like, so you breathe in as you come up, breathe out as you go down. And then we're going to start to bring in the eyes. So what I want you to do is look from thumb, back thumb, to the other thumb, trace an arc between the thumbs. So don't look up, basically, breathing in. The temptation is to follow your thumbs up to the sky, but instead you're letting your eyes track this circle all the way around to the other thumb. But the arms are still moving up and back. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in. Eyes are tracking, and the tracking of the eyes is really important. Now, when your arms feel like they're going to fall off, which can be quite soon, especially if you're hurting, just let the arms come down and let them dangle. And what you'll get is this orangutan arm feeling, I call it, where the arms are really heavy and the shoulders are doing a little bit of release. And we can take advantage of that. So let's bend the knees, let the arms swing, one side and then the other, one side and then the other. Again, you can track with your eyes. I'm getting to a nice rhythm. And you can see, I don't know if you can hear, but I'm tapping my body with my hands each time. So I've got a real sense of rhythm. And also notice, what are you doing with your eyes in between your tracking? Are you closing them? Are you losing focus? Or are you able to track this nice arc from the 2 points? And then, okay, if it feels like you've done too much, then just don't stop all of a sudden. Just do a little bit less and then come back to the middle. Take a breath in. And again, we're feeling those shoulders and arms really rest and release into the floor. Lovely. Okay, so the next one, and you can be standing for this, I'm just sort of coming a little bit nearer the camera so that you can see. We're going to use our eyes and our thumb. So we've got a thumb out in front of us. I'm looking at my thumb. And what I'm going to do first of all, initially, is I'm actually going to follow it with my head. One side as far as I can, and then bring it back. And there is a stretch, and then we swap sides. We do the other side. And then bring it back. And you'll feel this sort of rotation of the head. Other side, and a little stretch there in the shoulder. And back. And swap. So let's do it 3 times. Because there's a nice stretch there to be had, so we might as well take advantage. Great. Okay, so this time we're going to keep the head still, and instead we're just going to follow with the eyes. So that means no head movement. Just take it to your peripheral vision and then bring it, follow it, track it back. So your eyes will want to go elsewhere. They'll want to look up or down or all sorts. And the challenge with this one is to really keep your eyes on the thumb and not let the eyes flick to anywhere else. And you can see my head turning there. You see, this is part of the reflex. So I've got a little bit of this reflex, so I find that I don't even notice that I'm doing it. So it's all right on the right side, but on the left side, I've got this tendency to want to go with my head. Lovely, and then just let the arms rest. Let your eyes rest. This is quite a bit of eye tracking. And of course, as I explained, the ATNR is the reflex that sets up your visual processing. It sets up your eye tracking. This is why a lot of people with dyslexia often have this reflex a little bit unintegrated and need a little bit of work, and it really improves the tracking of the letters across the page. Okay, so again, this next move can be done standing up. I'm going to stay close to the camera though, because it's a little bit tricky. So we're going to have one arm out here, and this hand is going to go and reach for it. You're going to look at that thumb, and you're going to try and reach for your elbow, and then you're going to drag the hand across the body to this side, and then this hand is going to reach. You're still looking at that thumb, so you're tracking from thumb to thumb, and you can feel there's a really good stretch in the upper back here for this. But you're trying to really keep your eyes tracking smoothly from thumb to thumb, which is a lot harder than it sounds. Lovely. So just again, we've done a lot for arms, so you might be finding that your arms have had enough, and when they have, just let them drop again. Get that orangutan arm feeling, see how that feels. If it's not okay, stop. Okay. All right, so the next one that we're going to do is just for the head. So again, I'll get a little bit closer so you can see. And you can do this standing, but I would sit down. You want to have a little bit of a stronger base. So you can either sit on the floor or on a chair, it doesn't really matter. And then we're just going to waggle our head, and we'll be doing this on the floor. And this is like when we did this last week, we did the flagpole. So we had like the top of the spine was the flagpole, and our head was like a cloth that was sort of polishing the top of the flag. But what I want you to see is you close your eyes and really feel into this. That you can feel the remnants of this movement in your shoulder. So Imogen, you're going like this. It's more side to side, and it's smaller, much smaller. That's it. It really is like you're polishing just the top of the flagpole. And then just close your eyes and just feel into your shoulders. There's a little effect there in the shoulders. Just see how that is. Again, because this is a reflex move, we can do it for up to 2 minutes, but it's quite powerful, quite strong. And if you've not done reflex moves before, you quite quickly get this neural feedback, which can be like a wave of discomfort, sometimes nausea, sometimes tingling, something that alerts you and says, oh, you know what, I really do not want to do this anymore. And if that happens, it's time to stop. All that's going to happen next is going to feel worse, so it's not worth it. So when you do feel ready to stop, roughly about 1.5 minutes now, bring the head to the centre and just allow your attention to fall on your shoulders and arms, and just see the effects of this move on those shoulders and arms. Okay, so let's go back to the test, and then we'll do some stretching. And let's just see how these little moves, the effect that they have had on this weakness or this connection. So we're in our Cobra Pose. as we were before. We've got both arms sturdy. We're just going to turn the head one way and then the other. You should feel a massive improvement. When you've done your Cobra, because it's a big back bend, you can do a little child pose to stretch that out. So because I can't hear you, it'd be nice to have a little bit of thumbs up. So let's see, was it better for everybody? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. How about you, Imogen? I can't see you there. That's a big yes. Oh, great. Okay. So we're going to have this in mind as we do some sort of stretches, because, you know, it really makes a difference if your shoulders can be relaxed when you do a lot of stretching. And when your neck is also relaxed and independent, it can make it really beautiful, especially for twists, a really beautiful release that's not normally there. So we'll start with a nice easy twist. Let's do a cross-legged twist. So whichever leg is in front, we're just going to bring the opposite hand to the knee and the other hand behind. And just relax your back a little bit. So if we were here at the beginning, you know, we did that S to C, so we're in neutral. We're not either in S or C position. And then we're just going to start to turn the body. So starting from the lower back, as if you were wringing out a dishcloth, starting in the lower back, wring it up all the way up. And then when you get to your shoulder, you're going to feel that there's something different there going on. And instead of trying to move too much, instead pretend to look over your shoulder. So track with your eyes. You can either physically look. I prefer to do it with my eyes closed and pretend to look. And that just does something to that stretch there, takes it a little bit deeper. A couple of breaths to breathe that in. As you come back to the front, feel yourself turn, swap the legs over, other side. So again, relax your legs, feel the little twist start from the lower back, so that wringing out the dishcloth, starting in the lower back, working your way up the spine. And when you get to the very top with the shoulder blades, look over or pretend to look over your shoulder. And breathe. And just taking your time. So let's bring this into a little bit of a sideward twist. We're going to stretch out our legs. Sit back a bit so you can see my feet. So even though my toes are pointing up, my feet are not held up, they're relaxed. So again, we've got tick-tock is a really useful tool here. So you've got tick, toes coming in, tock, release, tick and release. Just a couple of times, just to remind the legs that they're really not doing anything. There shouldn't be any holding of any kind. We've got the spine in that slight C position for the time being. And then we're going to turn to look at one leg. The opposite hand is then going to travel down this leg as far as you can go. And once you've gone as far as you can go, relax this shoulder. It's very common to have this shoulder right up by your ear, so relax the shoulders down. You know, sort of lean, you've got the sideward bend here and the side of the body, and then we can bring this arm to help this part of the body release. So you've got this hip here trying to drop down. And just check in with your neck, your head position. So often the neck is held here. You're holding your shoulder and your neck at the same time. So you can just waggle the head a little. Use a reflex move, waggle the head to loosen it off. trying to keep those shoulders nice and relaxed as you sit down. And feel that stretch. Now we've got two sides to do and you know what you're doing, so when you feel like you wish to move on, all you're going to do is exactly the same on the other side. So we're turning to face the leg, sliding the hand down, getting comfortable with the legs relaxing, with the shoulders releasing as you bring the arm up. We've got this big stretch in the ribs. Check your neck, loosen it off a little bit, give it a waggle. And just breathing into it for as long as you want. Lay legs out in front when you're ready. Good. So we're just going to give this a little go in a downward dog. So often in downward dog, because there's a lot of weight going on in the upper arms, you do finish up with a tension in the shoulders, and this is really good for learning how to release it. So we're going to bring the hands, we're on hands and knees. Just check that the hands are in the right position so that middle finger is pointing straight away out from you. And you've got the heels of the hands. I'm going to tuck the toes under, and as you come up and push back and you feel that push come through the arms, do a little bit of waggle of the head. And see if you can make the head independent of the shoulders. And once that's done, you can just push through. You can feel the shoulders perhaps a little bit softer. Another nice trick if you're struggling a little bit with your shoulders and your eye coordination, shoulders and arms and eye coordination, is that you can look at your feet and track your eyes from one little toe to the other little toe. One little toe to the other little toe. Just do that a couple of times and then check with your shoulders and neck to see how that feels. And of course, once your arms give up, child pose is your recovery pose. Just give yourself a chance to breathe. Bring the arms by the feet and let the shoulders totally rest. And just noticing how that feels in the body. So one of the best ways to work with the neck is when the head is completely supported by the floor. And that's why a lot of neck work always happens lying down. So we're going to come into a lying down position. Just make sure that you have got something warm near you, because at the end of this little sequence we're going to be coming into our relaxation. And so you're not going to want to get up. And obviously when you do relax, your body temperature lowers and you can start to feel cold. So if you find yourself lying on the floor, we're going to start off with another little head roll. So very similar to this one that we were doing sitting up, but now we're lying down and doing it. And it's a completely different experience. I'll just quickly show you. So you're lying down. If you've got anything out of the way that might stop the head from moving naturally. And then you just rock it. And this for me is my favourite of the 80 in our reflex moves. It really does something to release my neck. Remember, it's not a big movement. It's a small movement, side to side, just polishing the top of that flagpole. And again, it's just a little move. Can go on for a minute or two. We're already a minute in. Just see how you feel. It's very deceptive, this move. You really want to move the head massively, but actually you get more out of it the less you move it. The more somatic movement it is, the better. So those 2 minutes are coming to an end. So just see how you feel as you come back. Just take in the sensation that comes. As if you were taking a photograph that you wanted to keep for later. So we're going to start the floor work with a nice little floor twist. So we're just going to bring our arms out to the side, lying down. But slightly tucked in. We're going to bring one foot and place it on the knee of the other. And then let that foot push that leg right over. And what will happen is you'll see that the shoulder wants to sort of flip off the floor. That's okay. What you can then do is just work at letting it go back down. And the way that it's going to do that best is by turning the head. You can, if you wish, bring this hand to the knee and gently work the body round. But more important is that you're working this shoulder down into the ground. Feel the breath coming into the rib cage and like a balloon filling up that rib cage. And as if that balloon had like a Mickey Mouse ear that then went into the shoulder. So you fill your shoulder joint with your breath. Feeling the head relaxing down. Now you know what comes next, so if you wish to turn to do the other side already, then you can just swap sides, bring the foot onto the opposite knee, push with that foot over. Feel the shoulder want to lift off the ground, and then as you turn the head, let it relax into the floor a little bit more. And again, as before, you could always pretend to look over that shoulder with your eyes closed. Let the eyes turn towards the direction that you're looking at. Taking your own time to feel into the move and how long you want to be there for. And then when you do come back to the center, bring the arms down by your sides and just see how they feel there on the floor. And then we'll come into a nice bridge sequence. So again, even before the bridge sequence begins, you can always be lying down and just letting the head rock from side to side for a moment. Again, just preparing that body to have that independence from the shoulders and the arms. And then as you lift, remembering to keep that lower back really relaxed, and it's the thighs and the feet that are really working as the chin rolls in almost on its own. You don't really need to do much for that chin rolling in. If you wish, you can bring the hands beneath you, interlace your fingers, and have a little shoulder blade stretch. And if you can feel a really strong stretch in your shoulders, again, just waggle the head a little bit. Just make sure that the neck isn't playing a part. Relax your jaw. Look down towards your belly button so the eyes are focused in one direction. And that should help to release it. When you've had enough of that stretch, of course, let the arms go and come down in your own time. And release into the floor, have a rest. Checking in with the shoulders again. How do they feel? And then we're going to lie on our side and have one hand above the other. Now, some of us might need a rest for our head, or you might find that you can rest your head on your shoulder. Just see how that feels. And then what we're going to do is we're going to reach with this top hand as far away as we can. I don't know if you can see that. I'll come a bit further back. So we're reaching as far as we can and coming back. Reaching as far as we can and coming back. Now, of course, your neck will be moving with this movement. It's not meant to be independent. There are some moves that we're supposed to move with our shoulders and some moves that we're not. The issue is recognizing which is which. And then with the final one, we're going to stretch as far as we can. And then we're going to lift the arm up, keeping the knees where they are. This is called a reverse twist, all the way over towards the floor. And then turning the head to see, can we relax that shoulder down onto the ground now? And it won't be easy. You'll have to remember, what were those lovely feelings of release that I had in my shoulder earlier on? Couple of breaths to release. And then again, we need to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So you will roll over. I'm just going to turn around so that you can still see me. We're on our side. Got one palm above the other. And we're reaching and coming back. Reaching and coming back. Reaching. And each time that you reach, you might find that you're just reaching that little bit further than you were before. As you loosen up in the back of that shoulder. And then the final one, you're going to really reach forwards, and then you lift the arm up, up and over and back into a floor twist again. Turning the head to face that direction, feeling that big stretch there, deep in that shoulder joint. And also across the breastbone, you might feel just on the top part, this very strong muscle here at the very top of the breast. Which, if that muscle, if it's tight, can often cause numbing in the fingers. When you're ready, we're going to roll straight onto our backs for another bridge pose. So we've got the feet on the floor, tiptoes and heels. Here's quite nice if you know it, to ground the feet. This time, tuck the chin in before you begin. And then as you breathe in, we're going to bring the arms up and over to the back of the head. So we're just resting the arms as best we can. If they reach the floor, that's great. If they don't, just try and relax them as best you can. And we're coming up into a nice bridge pose. Chin tucks right in. Tiny little wiggle can be quite good here, but really small, because you don't want to strain your neck. Nice stretch. As you come down, reach with your hand as if somebody's grabbed hold of your wrists and is pulling you. Reach with the hands as you roll down to get this lovely stretch all the way down the back. And when the pelvis touches the floor, just release the arms, let them relax, bring them by your side or somewhere more comfortable, and just notice how that feels. It really feels as if your arms are completely supported by the ground. And it's this feeling of release and support that we quite often what we're doing is holding our shoulders up to our ears the whole time and not being able to completely let go. And this is one of the things that the reflex moves can do, is re-educate the body out of these patterns that it's got into. And then we can finish and come into our relaxation by doing a fish. So the fish, just quickly show you, the legs are nice and straight, sitting on the hands. And come on to the elbows. Don't know if I've got enough room. Sitting on the elbows, and we can push through the elbows, look up and back. It's a lovely S shape to finish with. Again, you don't have to have the head on the floor, off the floor. You can have it on the floor and do the same move. And then when you're done, you're going to roll the head in. Release the arms out. Again, just feel that support of the floor for your shoulders and your arms. You can do a little bit of a wiggle of your head again. So a little rocking just to finalize that real patterning in there of letting and go, of release in the shoulders and neck. And of course, to ensure that we get a really good relaxation, I'm going to do this final knee bend rock. So we've got the feet on the floor and we're pushing through the feet in a rhythmic way, letting the whole of the upper body just wobble like a blob of jelly. When I do this with the kids, we call it jelly on a plate, because your body is so loose and soft that you just wobble. Now, it does take a little bit of practice to get it to wobble. Often it's a little bit jerky and not quite right. But with practice, and this is the one that I do say to everyone, if you do, and remember, one reflex move to do every day to get your system, your nervous system, back into rest and digest mode. This is it. So let yourself be carried away by the rhythm of it. Feel how you're doing really miniature ecstasies with every move. Shoulders and the arms are so relaxed that they're coming with the movement. You're not holding anything. Of course, there will come a point where your body will begin to feel it's had enough. So listen out for that. We're at 1.5 minutes. When that happens, just allow yourself to come to stillness. There'll be a response in the body. Stretch out your legs. Just observe. Take a nice breath in and breathe out. Feeling the shoulders and the arms totally supported by the ground. The whole body releasing into the floor. And if you have your blankets nearby or anything to bring you a bit of comfort, now's the time to find it. Get yourself comfortable and ready to relax. And just to give you a bit of prior warning, I am going to be playing a singing bowl, which I have sound tested, so I hope it works well. Towards the end of the relaxation. And finding yourself in a comfortable place. Allow your eyes to gently close if that feels comfortable for you. Let your attention come to your breathing. Just following that incoming breath, outgoing breath, as it enters and leaves through the nostrils. And it's as if you're lying on the warmest white sand. And you can feel the sand beneath you, warming your body and filling every nook and cranny to support you, behind the neck and the head, between the shoulder blades and the upper back, underneath the arms, underneath the lower back and the legs. Allowing yourself to gently sink into the floor. A little bit more. And the sea is just at your feet. And as you breathe in, the tide is gently starting to come in. And the warm, clear water touches your toes and feet. As you breathe in and as you breathe out, it recedes again. Breathing in, the water starts to travel up through the feet and the calves and the shins, your knees. And as you breathe out, again it recedes, taking with it any tension that you can feel in your calves and shins and feet. With the next breath, the breath comes in, coming up through the knees, the thighs and the hips. This warm, clear water. And as you breathe out, it recedes again, taking any tension in the lower half of the body with it. Breathing in, feeling the water traveling up the legs into the torso, the lower back, and across the abdomen, up into the chest, and upper back and shoulders. And as you breathe out, again the water gently receding, taking any tension with it. And as the next breath comes in, you feel the water traveling up through the body, through the legs and the torso, and up the hands and arms to the neck, and then around the head, the ears to the crown of the head. And as you breathe out, you feel it just again flow away, taking any tension with it. And with each breath, you can feel this water flowing all the way up to the top of the head. And as you breathe out, the tension taken away as you sink into the soft white sand a little bit more. And you can feel the warm sun warming the whole of your body. Your face, your shoulders, your throat, your chest, your arms, your hands, your belly, the top of your legs. And there's a warm, gentle breeze blowing through you. The breeze feels as if it could pass through every molecule of you, cleansing, blowing out any tension, any darkness, any negativity. And the water is still flowing up and back with each breath. And as you breathe out, you're sinking into the floor, and you can feel the warmth of the sun and the breeze blowing through you. And the thoughts are just like clouds in the sky. They're there, but they're just drifting by. You're not paying attention to them. Your attention is on the blue sky beyond, on the breath, on the release of the body, on the water and the sun and the warmth around you. And let your attention keep coming back to the body every time it wanders off. start to become just slightly deeper now. Just feel the breath gently begin to wake you. And when you feel like moving a little bit more, start by moving your fingertips and toes. Curling up into a ball on your side. Just having a moment there to organize your thoughts and yourself and your body. Taking as long as you need. And then I'm going to just turn the recording off and unmute you all.